We go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 25th episode of Holistic Health Happy Hour. I cannot believe it. Kudos to us for keeping it going. I'm Julie Sherwood, your Best Hopes Wellness Coaching. I do 13 sign constellational astrology. I'm a root cause therapy practitioner, solution focused wellness coach, and a Reiki master. So I kind of cover all of it. But in this capacity, we're going to talk about the stars. So constellational astrology. And I am joined by my beautiful co-hostess.
Hi, I am Maria Schumacher, aka Vian, as in Vian at Venus-13.com. I am a constellational 13 sign astrologer and a practicing witch, and by day an interior designer, which has absolutely nothing to do with any of this except yet another thing that I do. Um, my website is venus-13.com, venus-13.com, where I have offerings in the esoteric realm and astrology realm. So Julie and I work together to try to do total mind, body, spirit wellness and upgrades for us all. And there it is.
And
So,
what's your special little, I shouldn't say little, special boundaryless fluid reading you're doing these days?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So right now, because many of you may have noticed that it's getting pretty Neptune out there, I have created a special personal Neptune reading to help you personally navigate these next few months that can feel very destabilizing as Saturn moves into conjunction with Neptune. That can be hard, but Neptune's my girl, so don't worry, we got you covered.
We'll talk a
Um,
little bit about that today.
yeah, you can email me for more information at vion@venus13.com. Julie will
But
link.
we'll put the magic stuff in there later. Yes, yes.
But who do we have joining us, Julie?
Yes, well, we put this out as a live, join the party, but it was kind of last minute and things happened. So,
It
but
was
we're gonna,
very last minute.
well, and the rest of you will be seeing this on replay record. But we are also joined by our lovely Chloe. Chloe, tell us a little bit about yourself if you'd like to share.
Hi, everyone. As you heard, I'm a guest and love these two beautiful ladies and all that they do, and happy to participate. I'm a blah, 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 constellational astrologer as well, and a consciousness coach.
Awesome. Well, welcome, welcome. So let's bring up a chart, shall we? We're going to
Yeah.
talk third quarter moon.
Okay, pressing buttons. Bear with me. Let's
And, you
see.
know, for those of you out there that have wondered about the lunar cycles, the, new moon, full moon, and all of that, we have a lot of lovely colleagues in the constellational astrology world that put content out about that. So please feel free to check out Radical Astrology or Cosmic Reflections on Facebook. There's a number of practitioners out there, and you'll see all sorts of links to their lovely offerings, and I invite you to do that. But we decided to take a different tactic and look at the challenges in between those. So here's our third quarter moon. Pray tell, my friend, what do you see on the screen?
Well, third quarters are the quarter moons are the days when moon is square sun, right? That's making a square contact. Squares are the energy of challenge. And so sun moon square days can feel challenging. Um, Now because the aspect says so, and what it means on the ground is that the outward facing self, what the world sees, what we're presenting to the world, there's a challenge to see how well that lines up with the inward self that you know, who you know yourself to be. How well is that lining up with who you present yourself in the outside world or what the world might see? So these come twice a month. It's not like they're rare. We get sort of progress checks on ourselves a couple of times a month. But for most of us, they do feel a little challenging. Now, this is collective mind. This is
Right.
not anybody's personal chart. So in the collective, we're as a planet asked to look at what we see versus what we believe. right? Who do we think we are versus what is actually happening?
Mm-hmm.
How's that matching up? Always fun to do on a collective level. And by fun, I mean like your own dental surgery kind of fun. You just really look forward to doing that. Um, so but the good news is that for this particular one, we have Sun newly into Aquarius
Mm-hmm.
and Moon at 0 degrees Scorpio. So while Aquarius is notorious for being detached from emotions, Scorpius is notorious for sort of letting you feel all of them at the same time with a side of rage.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's back up a little bit on the squares. You know, square aspects. You'll hear some astrologers say hard aspect, challenging, or, well, hard aspect, difficult aspect, and you know, my preference is to say challenging aspect because it challenges us to pay attention. There's something here when these two come at each other like this that you can't ignore it.
Right.
There's something that's gonna happen whether you open your eyes to it or close your eyes to it. It don't matter. So that was beautiful English. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then you add what Maria was just saying, this detachment of Aquarius with the deep feels of Scorpio, and it's like, not to mention these are all cuspy things, so we're all messed up
Yes.
right now.
So there's just that interesting sort of sun in Aquarius. Yes, I am above it all. I don't really care about emotions with challenging the moon in Scorpio. No, liar, you care deeply. You care a lot. Don't pretend you don't care because you do. And that can be really good for the sun in Aquarius because it's like don't pretend you don't care about what you care about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it is good to have these again challenging days a couple of times a month because that's how we keep ourselves real.
And I think adding to the challenge, I'm going to clear this annotation because I want to point out something else. So first off, we said the sun is just in the first few degrees of Aquarius.
Right.
Moon is literally on the 0 degree mark of Scorpio, and I can't draw very well with a trackball, but we'll get there. We have Pluto taking his sweet ass time because he takes 248 years to go around a whole chart. He's just hanging out in 2 degrees Capricorn. We have Mr. Saturn literally just stepped over the threshold into Pisces, I believe today. We've
Yeah.
got Uranus right on the doorstep of Taurus after he had a lot of pause.
Retrograde.
Yep,
Hmm.
retrograde. Did I miss anybody hanging out on the threshold of everything? I mean, lordy, lordy, look at all
Miss
of that.
anybody cuspy? Yeah, there's a lot of cusp.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of cusp.
So that blurs the energy of everything. It's sort of like and I use this metaphor all the time, the radio, the old analog radio dial, when you're trying to tune it in, it's a little staticky, you sort of hear it, or you hear two different stations at the same time. It's that kind
Mhm.
of energy right now. So, and exacerbated by the sun and moon square, I think.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yep.
So yeah, this might feel even a little more challenging than usual.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. Once again, Moon Square Sun are not rare. They're not rare in the collective, so that it is not like this is, drop everything and get out your astrolabe because it's something that happens twice a month.
Right.
So we're okay. In particular, though, I think that because this is a waning moon, right? The moon is closing out her cycle. That I think will make the Scorpio transit a little more gentle. The emphasis is definitely on no, you really do care about this. Not so much, I really care about this, and I'm gonna tell you all how much you care about this. It's a lot gentler. Just remember that you care about this.
Hmm.
Um, even as we're trying to be as detached as we can in that Aquarius sun. And frankly, some detachment is probably going to feel nice considering that we've got a lot about to light up in Pisces. Yeah. Chloe, would you like to tell us about Pisces? Would you like to share with us how you feel about the Pisces, the constellation? What do you get from Pisces?
Oh, that's fun. I was referencing the moon and all the transactions in my mind. Transactions. Yeah, that's what it is, right?
Right?
Transits. Pisces, with all of them, like a huge stellium, really. And
Hmm.
if we're counting in like the lunar node placements as well, too, this tells me Pisces being, I think of it as our soul self. I know a lot of people might relate to that with the planet Neptune, but the correspondence between the two. I think of like the Yeshua fish symbol. I think of
Hmm.
uh, inner our inner connection to ourself and the emotional aspect of ourself. So looking at all these different planets and placements that are there, it feels like if we were devoid of feeling anything at all, if we were anesthetizing it, if we were apathizing it, if we were numbing it out or distracting ourselves or workaholism or any of those kind of coping strategies to prevent connecting with our soul and how we're feeling, none of those tools or devices are going to be working for us in March. That's all going to be out the window. So I see it as, some people might have midlife crises, other people might have sudden epiphanies and eureka moments. And I think people are going to get back to the truth of who they are and how they're feeling and where they're being guided on a soul level. And anything that's been in the way of that is just going to be wiped away for a period of time. That's my overall census with what's going on with Pisces. And as in general, being at the end of the Piscean age and moving into the age of Aquarius, right? In like 725 years,
Oh
according
yeah,
to
tomorrow.
the
Yeah.
right. Soon. It feels to me like we're moving from think about the age of Aries, right? It was very left brain, very analytical, very instinctual. And Piscean age has all been around us getting the right brain online, our feeling faculties, our capacity to empathize and have compassion, our creativity. And so moving into some of the planets we see with Aquarius as well too, that's bringing in the newness, the change, the perspective shifts, the way to amalgamize, if you will, all the things that we're learning from the lens of Pisces. And with that whole huge lens, um, like every degree of it's touched by a planet, is it
Yeah,
not? Like I
pretty
see one
much.
all the way from one end and all the way to the other. Like we're going to get the whole spectrum,
Oh, we are. Yeah.
the whole spectrum.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm actually pretty excited about it, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be going through something because of the process.
Dude, yeah, 100% everything she just said. Yes. And we're starting it now, frankly, which is why I created that Neptune reading because I think that it's going to take a lot of people off guard if you're not aware of it. If you're not aware that everything that you relied on for stability is going to dissolve, or it's going to feel like it is dissolving, that isn't something that most people can just ride with a plum without a little bit of warning or and how you survive that, you know what I mean? You
Well,
you
and
need some
what's
help.
yeah, and what's interesting is remember we started this lunar cycle, the new moon cycle, with the sun still in Capricorn, the structures, the
Yeah.
foundations, the
Yeah.
last few degrees of it. And so there's again another energy fuzz because we have this lunar cycle ending with the sun already moving into Aquarius. So there's that fuzz between the Capricorn and Aquarius. But the other thing I noted too is look where Venus is. She's right smack in the middle. It's kind of hard to
Mhm.
tell, but her marking point is at 19 degrees Pisces, which in constellation is about right the middle. And so she's riding the string of the Piscean glyph. She's standing in the middle. What do we value from that middle perspective? What do we
Mm.
value looking left and looking right? Because she's literally right in the middle of this.
Mhm.
And we've got Saturn at the one end and Eris and Chiron at the other end. So
Yeah.
she's like, look, guys, right here, right here. You don't
Yes.
need to be at these extremes, right here.
Yeah. And yeah, what do we deeply value? She's kind of alone in that spot right now.
Hmm.
And look at her over here in the graph. She is not making a lot of contact.
No, she's not. She's got a
She's
sextile to Jupiter and I can't tell, it's
a
so
pokey little semi. I wrote about it today. The
that's
semi square to Uranus. Hey, Uranus.
yeah.
Hey, Dave. Hey, you. No, no, you are not wearing that shirt on your date with Algo. No. Um, just yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. Paisley and stripes don't go together, Dave. Nope.
Yeah, no,
Mm-mm.
no.
No.
Dave, Dave, you've got one last shot at this. That's what it feels like. Anyway, I will digress and it will be bad. But she's not making a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
She's very much wanting to not, I think, dilute that message of, all right, what do you deeply value?
Mhm.
Deeply, deeply value in the collective. And also, would you relax a bit? Yes, things are going to be fraught. Yes, things are going to feel strange. Here, have a Mai Tai. It's just how are you going to be able to float with that, to find beauty, to find enjoyment, to find your love center, you know.
And I
How
think
can you stay in love with life and with humanity
yes.
while being deeply immersed in everything that in watching everything that you've held on to, everything that you used to value, watching all of that kind of crumble.
Well, and again, the dissolution of the boundaries, right? The Saturnian uh, influence or the Saturnian structure moving into the dissolution of boundaries within Pisces. And I think, Chloe, you alluded to this too, is this gives us an opportunity as these boundaries are dissolving of all the structures around us to go inward through our senses. Because Venus rules the five senses too.
Good
How
point.
do you smell what's out there? How do you see? Immerse into a beautiful bath full of beautiful scents. Feel the warm water. It's asking us, and we've lost a lot. We're seeing a lot out there on this connection, the somatic connection to our bodies, and feeling safe, comfortable, and surrender to that because those boundaries are dissolving, but we can do it from within
Mhm.
if we use the senses that Venus calls us to use. And this is the time to do it. Really tune into the you that is so that you are ready for what's dissolving around you.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I
So
think
that
that's,
you're your own string, really. You are
yes.
what you're going to hold on to stay afloat.
And then you send a string up to the next person and the next person and the next person because Pisces is also, we are all one.
Hmm.
So if I can hold my string and really feel comfortable and safe within that, then I have something to offer the next person to connect and the next person and the next person. And that creates a different set of structure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
I've been excited about it too. I really have.
Mhm.
Because but then again, I'm better with weird than most people are. I am better with less structure.
Mhm.
I let, let's just face it. So it's one of those rare times that people like me who are disorganized, who sort of are on their own time, who can escape easily, who kind of walk with one foot in and one foot out, are are going to be most useful because
Mhm.
yeah, we don't rely on structures and routines. In fact, they're anathema. And so this period in time is like, oh yeah, I'm digging this. But it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I think when Mercury catches up with Neptune, that's going to be really interesting.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be really
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
And I don't know. when he finally catches up with Neptune, but I would say it's probably in the next couple of weeks because
It's shortly, and remember, both he and Venus retrograde. So they crossed. She's Venus has crossed her once,
right,
and now Mercury will be the next to cross her, even though Saturn gets in there first. Mercury crosses next. And then both of them cross back because both of them go retrograde.
right,
So
right,
by the end of March, like Chloe pointed out, we have the Sun, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Chiron, the North Node, Eris, and the Moon as well, because we get an eclipse in there too.
yes, yes.
In Pisces. It's a Pisces palooza by at the last half of March for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It really is. And I just think that Mercury Neptune, this is where you're going to start receiving the messages from the beyond. This is where you're going to get those
Yeah.
intuitive hits. Some of us, the co-hostess here, has been getting messages all the time lately. Dream messages. Again, it,
And they have been wild. Oh
oh
my
yeah,
God.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's going to be a more people are going to experience that same thing. They won't, and I think a lot of people who have not done it, noticed it before, I guess is a good way to put, I don't ever remember my dreams when I wake up, or where did that come from?
Oh,
Some
I think
random
you'll remember.
message.
Yeah. I think that we will start remembering them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's all that going on, and we're really starting to feel that already now.
Mhm.
And because I think, one of the few contacts Venus is making is a trine with the moon right now in this moon square. She's making a trine to the moon as it squares the sun.
Right.
So, taking some of that lunar heart feeling attention to herself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. She can soften a bit of that scorpionic sting, emotional sting. you
Hmm.
know, if somebody comes at you or you go at somebody else from a place of betrayed trust or some real deep thing comes to light, Venus can soften that a little bit.
It's very hard to hold too tight onto righteous anger. I think when Venus is strong in Pisces,
Yeah. Well,
it's
plus
very hard.
plus our Martian is hanging out in retrograde, so that softens things a bit too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chloe, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Yeah. I was having a download when you guys were talking. I
Of
love how
course you
the
were.
stuff channels in, right? Like the three grace divine information. I've been having
Yes.
dreams too. But what was coming for me was that now that Saturn has just moved into Pisces, and I've always thought of like chronological time, Chronos, the
Yes.
structure, the male, let's say masculine, if you will, archetypal energy is now just moved into the spiritual feeling connection point. And so this shows up to me as like with Eris being relationship related in Pisces next to Chiron, brings up like relationship discord and wounds around relationship. And
Mhm.
if we kind of synonymize that with Venus and Neptune together, right? As you mentioned, Julie, with the sentience, the physical senses, in addition to Neptune, which is, our perception, our vision, our third eye, if I'm interpreting this,
Yep.
next to the North Node, which is all around our path, purpose, and direction, it tells me that we're going to be processing stumbling blocks, like you said, Maria,
Yes.
with righteous anger. So we're processing anger related to whether that be male or female, but who played the masculine role in our lives, in our relationships, any discord, any dysfunction, any wounds that haven't been processed there, that or soul deep or somatic deep, referencing what Julie said earlier, in the body, are coming to the surface for us to transmute and alchemize. And we're going to see that get closer. We're on the experts of that window right now, and it's just going to get more dialed in as March progresses.
And what's going to add to that is Mars goes direct at the end of this month, and then he's going to start moving into Cancer, so
Yeah.
emotional outbursts and
Did he just move direct yesterday?
No, not quite,
No,
because this is for the 20th and it's still showing retrograde. So it's any day now. I think it's like the 23rd, maybe.
I think
Oh,
Uranus finally moved direct.
oh, did
He's
I
been
mix it up? Okay.
stationed for like, yeah, he was stationed for forever, right? It's to 2 weeks.
Actually,
Thanks for
Maria,
clarifying.
if you click on the glyph, just put your pointer on Mars and click on it. There should be a window that pops up and it'll tell you next station direct February 23rd. If you go a little further down, you see Mars is retrograde. Oh, right at the top of the screen now.
Thank you.
Yep, see where it says next station direct at
Oh
23rd.
yeah.
Yep, so that is a cool little tool. You click on it, it'll tell you the next retrograde and direct. Sometimes it'll use tropical perspectives, but at least it'll tell you the right dates.
Yeah,
So anyway,
true.
yeah, so what, the end of this, well, Sunday, he starts moving, he goes station and starts moving direct. So, he's going to move into Cancer right, around all of this Pisces Palooza party. And I think Mars moving from Gemini to Cancer is jarring.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
think it's jarring because you're all up in the Gemini, brain synapses. I don't know anything about that. The logic and the left brain stuff and the details and the info and there's a lot of energy in that. And then you move into Cancer and it's like, soften that up a little bit, but I don't want to. It's like, wait a minute. So I think it's a jarring, I don't know. I just maybe that's my own personal experience just because I have a lot of Gemini in my chart, but I
Well,
don't
I mean, it is for Mars. Think about it, the planet of action, and Gemini supports action. It
Yeah,
really supports looking into what feeds your curiosity, what makes you curious, what sparks your imagination, all of that sort of thing. It kind of wants you always to act on that, and Mars always wants to act on everything, especially when he's direct. So yeah, Cancer not so much. Cancer wants to keep things more secret. It wants to, you know,
but you have this Mars guy who's had his one leg being held for the last several weeks, and he's just wanted to go, 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 and finally he gets to go, 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 and then he's going to go into Cancer and says, "Hey, no, slow down a bit." So I think it's going to have the potentiality to have a little bit of
but it
fire.
also depends on now again, it also depends on where you direct
Yes,
that action.
yes,
What you decide to take action on. Like, okay, that's probably not going to have as much support for taking action on the curiosity stream on learning and mental, but the action within, or spring cleaning,
yeah. I was going to say in your home. Yep,
yeah, your literal home, or your physical, your emotional home,
right.
clearing out emotional clutter so that there's room to process all of the Pisces palooza. And it's the same thing with Pisces, with Saturn and Pisces. It's like, okay, stuff that we had relied on before is just not going to be there for us.
Right.
So now what do we rely on? And where do we go for escape and nurturing and nourishment in this trying time? So I think in ideally Mars and Cancer could really support all of that Pisces work by, having somebody there in Cancer to prepare a field, to clear out room in the closet in the attic
That's
and be
true.
like, all right, let's do that work. Let's do what it takes to accept the changes.
And it's interesting because this kind of morphs into the other part of our discussion, which we're weaving all of this into, is our constellational conversations. It's like, oh, okay. So, Julie, why does Mars feel so jarring to you when it moves into Cancer? Let's take a look and see what's going on there. Or how is this Pisces Palooza playing out in your chart? Well, it's in my seventh house, or it's in my eighth house, or it's in my, well, what does that mean? How are you feeling all of this Pisces stuff?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. I think I think this is a good time to segue. And before we do, just a closing note on the moon square sun of today. that lunar message, the moon message as she closes out her cycle in Scorpio is very much, don't forget that things are important to you. That don't forget the things that matter to you very much. You know, we want to rationalize and we want to pretend, but there are things that really do matter. No matter how angry you are, and no matter how much you want progress, things matter.
Hmm.
And be clear on what those are. At least don't lie to yourself.
Yeah. And Scorpio invites us to have emotional connections with others. We
Yes.
have to learn to trust. We have to learn to be vulnerable. And the moon, is with our emotions, our internal self.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Chloe, did you want to add something to that? Yeah,
I would
please
love
do.
to. Thank you. So what I was getting when you were talking, Julie, for me, of like my discernment with it, with why it would feel jarring from moving from Gemini into Cancer is I think of the spectrum of Gemini, right? It rules the third house. We can go into analysis paralysis in that case when we see Mars in retrograde there, right? That can be like one end of it. And then we can also move into that learning patience and learning how to let the mind rest. Because if it being in retrograde in Gemini, referring to that mental activity, making space to move into Cancer is around kind of unloading that mental discharge that might be compiling from all the emotional activity that we can see on the forefront with what's getting activated in Pisces specifically.
That's right.
So that component, noticing, and then as it's moving, and the third house component that it represents now, I think of it as like connecting with friends when it's in this retrograde period. It might be more introspective, where we're disconnecting from our social groups and our social settings, and we're becoming more self-reliant, which we're seeing is going to be necessary to like what Maria was talking about of our systems of structure and the ways that we supported ourselves dissolving with all the planetary placements in Pisces. So I totally relate and agree with that feeling of jarring moving into Cancer, because Cancer ruling the fourth house around home and our sense of security and belonging and hiding, even like Maria indicated, that goes from the mental cognition into the sentient cognition. So
Right.
we're moving the focus from the physical body being mental into the 3D physical reality. And so it's
Uh-huh.
like coming out of dreamland back into your seat on the roller coaster ride. So it definitely feels that way to me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also Saturn represents, the societal structures out in the world, and the Gemini third house is more your close community, the people very close to you, around you, near you. And I think the reliance on the global structures, if you will, is dissolving. It's getting us back to that marketplace and the square in the community, and talking to your neighbor, and I have carrots and you have bread, and you have tarot cards and I have astrology, and looking at that community exchange and interconnectedness. And I think the Gemini to Cancer really is going to help with that too, building our home in a new way.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Awesomeness.
yeah, and yet it is also about connecting, being more aware of a global connection in a different way. I,
Yes.
I think to many of us, to most of us, the idea of a global order has been something too big.
Mm-hmm.
It has seemed too large, partly because we haven't really learned how to to how do I say it? Efficiently is the wrong word, but successfully live with neighbors, connect tribe to tribe.
Right.
But the internet has turned out to be a great tool for that. I mean, think of the pandemic, when that was all we had to stay connected. And now the globe doesn't quite seem so big. The idea of global community got implanted during the pandemic. It really did. Global community where one tribe can talk to another tribe, can talk to another tribe and find the commonality in how we deal with this. Not that I think there is going to be another global catastrophic event. I want to go on record as saying I do not think that is the way. But I think that a lot of us are going to be able to conceive of, all right, we actually are a planet and we are local
Yes.
communities in a way that we couldn't have done
Right.
the last time there was a big old Pisces Palooza.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's an opportunity for us to redefine what we mean by community, right? It's when I say the market square, out in the community, that could be a virtual one. We're in the
Right?
market square right now,
Yeah.
hanging
Yeah.
out, doing our thing, and we're in three different time zones. So it's redefining that and finding that, like you said, that commonality. My
Yeah.
commonality with the three of you is the astrological mind, body, spirit, internal, external connection and exploring these topics. And then I have a whole different group with the root cause therapy people that we explore similar things, but from a different lens. Well,
Mhm.
same and different actually. It all kind of blends together in some ways, but it's really interesting. But yet I'm not going to get on a community with a bunch of construction house builders because that's not my language. That's not my community. I need it. We all need it, but it's not the community that I have some interest in a professional or community collaborative kind of way.
Yeah.
Appreciate, but don't need to do it. You
Yeah.
know, it's interesting. It's really interesting and I think the other thing too, and this came to light in one of our last discussions, Maria, is how much we don't know that we're finding out we don't know that we're finding out, right? It's
Yeah.
the veil thinning, just the historical stuff, whether it be, all right, I'll go out on a limb, purposefully hidden from us or hidden from us because we just didn't know how to access it,
Right.
or on a different timeline or from a different galaxy or, however you want to massage that pile of dough, I think we're starting to find out a lot more because now we have the capability, I think, in some ways to process it. Some of us,
Mhm.
not
And
everybody. Some people are like,
it's just it's time for those veins to dissolve.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, and be
I'm
found
excited.
again. I think it's a rediscovery. I don't think it's a new discovery. I think it's a rediscovery. So, yeah, for sure, for sure. So,
So there we go. Yay.
constellational conversations. So, Maria and I have cooked up an opportunity to create a community for people to interact with us a couple times a month, to have a conversation on a personal level to learn more about the astrological language of the sky. A lot of people have come through the tropical western lens, and that's all fine and good. It has its place, but we offer the opportunity for you to connect to the actual constellations as they appear in the sky relative to your chart and what's going on. How can I bring in the energy of this Pisces Palooza? Oh my God, for me, it's happening all in the 10th house. What does that mean? What is a house? What's my,
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. And
yeah,
we mean it to be for every level of astrological knowledge or even curiosity,
right.
0% knowledge, 100% curiosity is fine.
Yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
don't even I just did a reading for a sweet girl last week. She was just adorable and she was like, "Maria, I don't even know enough to form a question."
And
But I
that's
just
beautiful.
I was just so curious about what you did. I wanted a reading. So it was like, okay, um, here we go. So this is we
Yep,
this is a house. This is the midheaven, and we're happy to start there if
yep,
that's where you are. Or, I don't get the third progression. Then it would be Julie. Because nobody but Julie gets the third progression. Um,
my God.
but
It's
you
well,
know
and
what I mean.
again, the idea is going right back to that community thing, right? We opened up a little, bistro, and we've got a little table, pulled up a few chairs. You happen to wander in, come sit down, let's talk astro. That's the idea. We want it casual, conversational, not a lecture format. Share knowledge, just like we are doing here with the three of us. There's all different levels of curiosity and knowledge, and it goes back to that community interweaving. Oh, I never thought, well, Maria, why do you see Neptune as female? Okay, or feminine. Why? Can you tell me why? Okay, I'm going to impart upon you where I come from, meaning you, in that perspective. And that's a great conversation. It's not on page 25 of the book, right? It's okay. I
Right.
ascribe to this energy of Neptune this way because. And then somebody else goes, huh, okay, that's worth thinking about. All right, let me see how that plays out for me.
Or we could do books,
Yes,
and
and
we could do, again, for people who are still essentially coloring with crayons,
yeah,
which is great. We've got, a list of materials that we can suggest to you and help.
I got a whole
So
shelf behind me.
we don't need, wow. I mean, the books, the library is here, my friends. I am here to tell you.
What can I say? Mercury, Gemini, I got a problem. But
Yeah.
at any rate, but that's the point. So currently what we have set up is the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 7:30 Eastern time. I always have to stop because I'm on Arizona time. That's a whole nother story. 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern time, the two times a month. So it's net 2 hours for $22. However, we've had a few pings from people who that time zone does not quite work for them because they're in other parts of the world and they're sleeping. So one of the things we've considered is maybe one Sunday a month for 2 hours. So the net is still the same at like, I don't know, 2 o'clock Eastern time or something, so that the European folks and some of the other US folks where the evening doesn't work, this
Right.
might be an option.
Have a shot. Hmm.
Yeah. So if that is something that you'd like us to consider, let us know, and we would love to, we just want to create a conversational container for
Yeah.
people to learn more and get more out there about the constellational approach to astrology. So, and encourage people out of maybe their comfort zone of, I don't want to ask any questions. I don't want to, look like I don't know anything. We
It's that
all
was it.
started
We
somewhere.
wanted it to be definitely not a class format,
Right, right.
where it's Julie and Maria giving a lecture, and then does anybody have any questions? Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, that
Not
has
that
its
there's
place.
anything wrong with that format. It however, is not the way she and I want to teach. And there are plenty of other classes out there taught by very competent astrologers that, we don't want to compete.
Right,
To be
right.
perfectly honest, it's like, we're not, everybody should learn from everybody in their preferred way. So
Yep.
this is, I think, a method, a group, a thing that isn't being offered right now that might really appeal to
Yeah.
more.
And if you're watching this on replay, please feel free to share. There's a ton of different formalized courses out there that don't offer the discussion groups, right? It's great because I've taken a ton of those courses, but yet at the same time I can't just hop on a discussion group and go, I've really had a hard time understanding this whole Mars retrograde Gemini. It's hitting my 10th house. Can we talk about that? This whole course about Mars, it doesn't, I'm missing something. Can we talk about that?
Mhm.
And then that gives you that opportunity to have the discussion, you know, like the old Socratic discussion groups where they just all met at the forum and sat down and banged it all out,
Yeah. Without the poison.
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
No poison. No poison. No. No poison.
Socrates. Smart man. Met a bad end. Very sad.
Yep. Yep. So hit us up with questions. You can go to yourbesthopeswc.com. I have a contact form in there. Just click in there, send me a message. It'll come to me. My dear co-hostess, Vian at venus-13.com, or on her website, venus-13.com. There's a contact link. And also the Constellational Conversations connection point is on
Yes.
venus-13.com. And if you
Yep.
have any difficulty, questions, or I want to sign up, but I don't know what to do, just let us know. We'll get you in. We'll take
Yeah.
care of you.
We'll get you in.
This was just a portal to make it accessible, but we can work around all different options. So Don't worry about it. We'll get you hooked up. So, any parting comments, Chloe? Clicking buttons. I know. This
Clicking
is what we
button.
do all the time. Where's my mute button?
Unmute.
There
There
she
it
is.
is.
Sorry, it kept opening another screen. I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me to join you in your conversation today and having me as a guest. It's been lovely. Thank you so much
Thank
for the
you for
opportunity.
joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so may the third quarter moon be kind and the Mars going station be kind. I feel you. Yes, yes, yes. Any other parting words, my dear co-hostess?
Nope. I really, it's all good. I- Please, if anybody has any feedback or any hesitations, or I would love to join, but
Yeah.
we're we're not so stuck in this that we have an idea. We think it's a really good idea. We've gotten feedback about the idea, and now we just need to figure out how to make it work to serve the most people the most.
Yeah.
So,
And I think you would join me in saying, this is not a hard sales pitch. That's not our gig. That's not our journey. It's, $22 is nominal. It's just to support like our Zoom and all of that sort of stuff.
and
That's,
we do keep it to 8 students. There's going to be
yes.
eight
Oh,
students
that's the
with the
other
two
thing.
of us so that we make sure that there is space and time for everyone to participate that wants to.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't want it to be, a bunch of people, so many that you can't interact. We intend for this to be interactive.
Yeah. It's a round table, has plenty of seats for the number of us, and then you can interact. And that's the other thing too, is we really, really, really strongly encourage coming live because that's what incites the discussion. However, if there's the one-off that you can't make live, we will record it and
Yeah,
make it available to only the members. And I think we even talked about creating a members only Facebook page so that we can
yes.
just to the closed group.
Yeah.
Because if somebody has a question about a chart that they don't want out to the world,
Or in between times, sometimes
yeah,
2 weeks can be a while.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, that eclipse hit me like a ton of bricks. Can you tell me why? Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, or even things like, hey, is anybody else out there noticing that there's been some wonky tech stuff going on? I don't see anything in the chart. What do you guys? Oh, we have a common thread here,
Right.
that kind of thing. So that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. All right, I'm going to sign us off on the recording and say again, thank you to Chloe for joining us. Thank you as always, my dear co-hostess, Maria Schumacher at venus-13.com. And I'm at yourbesthopeswc.com. And again, tag us, hit us up, whatever, any questions, suggestions, thoughts. Again, we're considering entertaining another time zone option, so it never hurts to ask. So, all right, thank you, everybody.